So, does someone have a situation they are eager to work on this morning? Right. Want to come up here and who is this other person going to be in this dialogue?
My sister.
Okay, does this dialogue start with me saying something, or do you start the dialogue?
She starts.
And what do I say in my loving sisterly way?
You are not the king.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You are not the king.
You're just like Dad.
You're just like Dad.
And it doesn't stop.
You know, it may be a shock to you, but there are other people in this world that have some intelligence too. And you know, we were not put on this earth to do what you think is right. This is the most intelligent conversation we've ever had. It's about time you learn to shut your mouth.
Do you feel that I don't listen to you?
Oh, no. Oh, no. The poor baby Jarrell. He's hiding. He's hiding. Come on out of there. I pay you good wages. Come on out of there.
Do you need to talk to me?
What's this person feeling behind that message? Let me help you. It isn't happy.
It isn't.
It isn't happy. She's not happy. So I'll give you that much help. But what is she feeling when she talks this way?
Anxiety. Are you feeling anxious?
Okay, we don't have to be right, remember. We just have to be sincerely interested in connecting with what's in the person's heart. We don't want to be a giraffe parrot who just does the mechanics. No, we must do this only if we are sincerely interested in connecting with what's alive in that person. So, are you feeling anxious? Then why? Because
are you feeling anxious because I don't listen to you?
Oh!
Are you feeling anxious because you don't get a chance to say what you want? Are you feeling anxious because
you are needed.
You need to tell me something?
I need to be respected. I need it to be recognized that you're not the only one who knows how to do things. You think you're the only one that knows how to do things. You're the only one that has any intelligence. You're just like Dad. It's disgusting.
Do you need to tell me more?
I need respect, that I have an opinion, that I have a life, that I have some intelligence.
Do you need to feel more respect?
Exactly.
How would that look?
First, it would look like not be in too much of a hurry to resolve. You don't jump to fixing until you're sure that this person has had all the empathy she needs at this moment. And it's far from it. We'll get to the question you just asked about what she would like in terms of doing this in about 10 minutes. But she's going to need more of what you just started to give. So let's erase that and just leave it with what you said. So,
do you feel you need more respect from me?
Yes, but you can't give respect because you're just like Dad. You have this egomaniac idea that you're the only one that knows anything, that you know everything better than everybody else. So, you know, there's no way that I'll ever get respect from you. I've long since given up the hope of getting respect from you or Dad.
Do you feel you need me to listen to you more?
You can't. You can't listen. Now we're going to see something I love about jackals, you see. If we don't give them empathy they need the first time, they'll give us another chance. See, she's going to repeat herself, word for word now, because he didn't connect. So that takes all the pressure off. We don't have to get it right, because they'll keep giving us another chance, another chance, another chance. So isn't that nice about Jackal?
It's her sister, too.
That's her sister, too. So you're trusting that you'll hear it again if you don't hear it the first time. Okay, see, I wouldn't lie to you. So I say it again. So it's good that you tried, but it wasn't accurate. So You know, you couldn't listen. You couldn't listen if you wanted to because you have this idea that only you know anything. Nobody else has any intelligence except you.
Do you feel I need to, do you feel you have more to say?
I feel that you can't listen even if you want to because you have this egomaniac idea that only you have any intelligence and nobody else. Are you feeling hopeless?
Are you feeling hopeless?
Yes. Yes, I've been trying my whole life to be understood. And there's just something about you. I don't know what it is that you're so hard-headed that you can't hear anybody else except your own opinion.
Do you feel anxious about telling me something?
No, I feel that you're so hard-headed that you never get it's impossible to get anything through to you.
This feels pretty hopeless.
Yes. And you're going to hear it again because you got just the feeling, not the need as well. See, the feeling is about 10% of the connection. The need is really the connection.
Do you feel this is hopeless and you need me to help? You need,
Not need me.
You need to say more about it?
I need to feel as though it's possible to be understood, that there's any hope of it. But I've given up this. There's no chance. You and Dad, there's something about your mentality that you can't listen if you wanted to.
You feel hopeless about this and you need to say more?
I need just some understanding of how horrible it feels not to be able to get through to your own father and brother.
You feel hopeless that you can't get through?
Yes. I've been wanting a connection my whole life, and I've just about given up. What's the use?
You feel totally useless and helpless right now, and you need to feel better about that?
I needed a connection with you and Dad my whole life. I've wanted it. I've done everything I knew to get it. Now I just about given up. Hear the need. The need was very important.
You feel like you're never going to connect and you need to connect with us?
I've wanted to my whole life. Tried everything I knew how, ever since I've been a little girl. Now I just about give up.
You feel ready to give up because you can't connect?
Yeah. Now you're at a critical point, you see. She's gotten a lot of understanding. And maybe that's all she needs. Maybe she needs now to hear from you, maybe not. So this is a giraffe rough point to know whether just to be quiet and see if the person wants to go deeper, or to help them to get clear by saying, is there more you want to say, or is there something you want to hear from me? Try that.
Is there more you want to say, or is there something you want to hear from me?
So what's your feeling about what I've said?
My feeling is I didn't understand that before, and I feel
No.
bad.
No. When somebody asks for your feelings, to give them a cognitive response is painful for them, physically painful. She asked for your feelings, and you said, I didn't understand. Notice the verb is a head verb. She's wanting to know what's in your heart right now. She's very vulnerable.
Is she asking for an empathetic?
She's asking for your feelings. She's asking for your feelings. And you were giving her, I didn't understand. That's what goes on in your head, I didn't understand. But it doesn't say what's in your heart. Somebody can say, I didn't understand, and be furious. Somebody can say, I didn't understand, and feel helpless. They can feel anything. So it's really not telling her what's alive in you to tell her you didn't understand. She needs to hear how you feel right now.
I feel bad that I didn't understand
That's
this
a
before.
good baby giraffe. I feel bad. That's how most of us start, with a two-word vocabulary for feelings. I feel good, I feel bad. But that could be about 500 different feelings. And so to really help a person understand what's in your heart, what kind of bad do you feel?
I don't know exactly how I feel, except that I feel bad that that we didn't connect before.
Let me help you narrow it down. Do you feel sad? Do you feel guilty? Do you feel discouraged? Do you feel hopeless?
I feel discouraged.
Okay.
That I didn't know this before.
Now you see tears in her eyes. Because she's wanted this for many years, just this. Just the understanding and the connection. One of the things that gives me seriously great pleasure is how little it takes to make human beings happy. Later today I'll do some work on gratitude with you, and I ask people all the time to tell me something that's happened in their life that really made life better in some way. And it is incredible to me to have asked that question to so many people. Because the kind of things that people say were some of the most precious gifts they ever got in their life were things like this. My brother told me he felt discouraged and didn't understand something. One woman in Santa Barbara, when she thought of something that her father had done 30 years before, she cried and cried because it was still so much with her. What had he done 30 years before? She was very lonely on a certain day. He was at the other end of the room. He looked across the room and winked at her. 30 years later, she's still crying about it. I mean, we human beings, doesn't take much to make life wonderful. Anything else you want to say to sister while she's in this mood? Or have her here? I can put some giraffe ears on her if you want to say anything else. Don't worry about how you say it. She'll hear it.
I'd like you to know, Gene, that I felt terrible when Dad died also. And that it was a very confusing time for me too. And that it still feels confusing.
Yeah, so Dad's death left you with many feelings. In addition to the sadness, just a lot of confusion and things unresolved within yourself.
Yes, and unresolved in the rest of the family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's requiring us to really look at our relationships and get them real clear.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't tell you how grateful I am at the work you're doing to make that happen.
Thank you.
Sister, you seem to have some strong feelings about this. You want to express them?
I feel really sad about how much separation we have had to live through. And I need to have a way of connecting with you. And my request is that we find a way to do that.
Boy, with these ears on, I feel so touched when I see how much you want to do that. It meets a strong need of mine to feel valued. Strong need. Can you tell me the kind of things I say that make it hardest for you to connect with me?
When you interrupt while I'm speaking with you, get flustered and I lose my center. I get angry. Um,
Yeah.
when you're really hopeless and pushing away anything that I try to do to hear, you're suffering. I feel, I also feel hopeless then.
So when I say things like, leave me alone,
Yeah, and don't talk to me.
don't talk to me,
Don't phone me.
don't phone me.
I don't want to have anything to do with you.
I don't want to have anything to do with you.
You make me feel bad. You make me feel lost.
Yeah,
You bring up too much pain for me.
yeah, yeah. That's really when I need you to have the giraffe ears on the most, so let's practice. One of the most important messages to hear with giraffe ears is no, or its associated messages. I don't want to talk about it. Leave me alone. The person walking out of the room. See, if we have giraffe ears, the other person cannot not communicate. Even the walking out of the room is a loud message to hear with giraffe ears. Even the hanging up of the phone. We don't hear that as a cutoff. We hear that as just a continuation of the dialogue. What is that person feeling and needing at the moment they walk out of the room? What is that person feeling and needing when they say, I don't want to talk about it?
Are you feeling angry and need to have some quiet space to yourself?
No, why talk about it? You never listen. You never listen. You don't care about what I feel. Why talk about it?
Are you angry? Do you need to be heard?
Yes. And I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, but I never get understood, so why talk about it?
Are you frustrated because no one's
Because
heard
you
you?
need-
Because you
you
need to
need-
be heard?
And you haven't gotten that need met.
And you,
See, we don't want to connect the other person's feelings with what others do. That creates pain for them to keep thinking that their pain comes from other people. So we're not going to teach them, and like in workshop file, you're responsible for your own feelings. We do it gently by helping them connect their feelings with their needs. So try it again. Nobody listens around here. I've given up on brother and I gave up on father, but I at least hope my sister would listen. But no.
are you feeling hopeless and do you need to be listened to?
Yes. It can't happen in this family, so why talk?
Are you in a lot of pain because you haven't been
'Cause
understood? Because you need to be
you-
understood?
No, and it's beyond that. You need to
Need to be-
protect yourself from the pain of trying to get your need for understanding met and not have it met. So now you'd rather follow the philosophy, you can't fall out of bed if you sleep on the floor. I wouldn't put that in there.
So are you in a lot of pain and do you need to do you need to have your
Protect
pain?
yourself.
Do you need to protect yourself from feeling that?
Yes. And so if I just have no contact with you or the rest of the family, then I don't suffer so much. So now you see, we've translated the message, I don't want to talk about it. You see how much this person did want to talk about it, how much this person's talking, but she needs to have somebody hear what the feelings and needs are behind I don't want to talk about it. So, now give me back these ears. You keep the microphone, give me the ears. So, sister, how do you feel when you hear this?
I feel in touch with my own pain about not having you in my life. And I feel a lot of suffering because you are suffering so much.
Jackal, what's going on? Take these ears off. Why, Jackal? Because I just hear how much she wants connection with me.
Yes, I
Why
do.
is that so petrifying to you, Jackal? I don't know, but it's petrifying. It's what I've always wanted, but why am I so scared? It's pretty scary for jackals to have these ears on and actually open up to the possibility that our deepest needs can be met. Pretty scary. Take them off. No, Jackal. Why? I like to terrorize jackals. I do. I remember terrorizing my father. Dad, there's a lot of gratitude I'd like to appreciate, to express to you. Oh, look, good. You're a good son. Never mind. We were walking, along the road. I said, Dad, please, this is important for me to hear, for you to hear. I really, when I told him some things he did, and I'd like you to hear what that has meant to me over the years. Oh, yes. No, Dad, I don't feel you're hearing me. Terrorized the man, absolutely terrorized him to get him to hear that. It was like pulling teeth, He told me later, many years later, how grateful he was that I terrorized him. Made him hear that, as scary as it was for him.
The thing here in the last couple of days that has that I've picked the most for myself to work with is to wait and listen and be with the feelings that come up out of talking to each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That I never really knew how to hear you, or how to wait inside myself through this pain or the suffering or the anger or whatever feelings were present.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and when you mentioned about how I interrupt, I realize that same thing goes on for me at those times. When I'm interrupting, it's because I'm in such pain and fear and hurt. And if I could only just take a breath, I can see what it would mean to you to hear you first. But it's just very hard for me to give myself that space and breathe and become aware of just how much I'm scared or hurt. So I interrupt, and then I see how this aggravates others, and I can understand. And then I don't get the understanding I need. So I want to say the same thing to you that I did to Brother about how grateful I am for what you're doing to create the possibility that we can really connect this way.
Thank you.
Yes. Microphone, please.
When she was saying, I feel pain because I wanted to connect with you too, that is needs, that is feelings and needs. And I guess my question is, how important is it to try to stick with the structure of feelings and needs, or does that meet the intent and the spirit of it, so you don't have to be so compulsive about the, about the form of it? You know what I mean?
Yes. a student traveled with me from country to country, about 7 countries. And at one point, I was doing a drill with it. He wanted to learn how to teach this process and wanted it very badly. And at one point, I was drilling people pretty hard and stopping them. And then he whispered up to me, "Dictator." It was a deep appreciation on his part. I received it as such. I knew at that moment what he was referring to. I knew what his feelings were. I knew what his needs were. The words, he couldn't have expressed it in a better way to me at that moment. You see, so what I'm wanting us all to do is be conscious of feelings and needs. To be clear that it's at this level we need to connect. And then when we have that consciousness, then whichever words, or not lack of words, connect us at that level.
Yeah, see, that makes sense to me, because in the same way that you were saying, even if you're not saying it, the feeling comes through. Oh, you know, the empathy comes through. In other words, to have stopped her to say, "You're feeling sad because you need connection," would have been it would have broken the spirit.
Yes, and the reason I'm having us do it, and I'm glad you bring this to our attention, because see, I'm having us say it out loud so I can be sure that your attention is on the other person's feelings and needs and not hearing criticism, not hearing thoughts about what you did wrong. So I don't know how to know that unless I get people to say it out loud. But then once I'm confident that you really are at the level of feelings and needs, you know how to get there, then yeah, we can do it without the words sometimes with some people. For example, if you and I are sitting in the living room watching television, and you start to go to the kitchen, and I go like this. What am I feeling? What are my needs? Who am I wanting to get it? It would drive you crazy if I said I'm feeling thirsty and have a need for some liquid in my system. And would you get me a gallon of whiskey in the kitchen? You know me well enough to know that when I go this, that's all what I want. So.
The comment you made about the giraffe being able to be sadistic and terrorizing. So I know you were joking on some level, but on another level, because you said the words, I'm wondering exactly what you meant, because I felt frightened.
What I meant by that is we're going to get to when we look later today about how to receive gratitude and why it's so scary, you see, and why it's so scary. I love how they say it in the Course in Miracles. It's our light, not our darkness, that scares us the most. We have been educated for so many centuries in this theology that gets across to everybody that our nature is really selfish and lazy and so forth. That to really open up and see the power that we have to enrich life and to see how glorious that is, it's like going into a lighted room that we're not used to. And so many people are so frightened of that that they say things like this whenever you start to try to express a gratitude to it. Oh, it's nothing. Just the tone, you can hear it. It's a painful thing for them. It's interesting. And the jackals must have all gone to the same school, because they do the same thing in every country. French-speaking jackal, de rien. Spanish, de nada. My favorite are the Swedes. Hush! You see? So, yeah, it's scary for people to take it in, but to say, well, I didn't want to say it to them because I see how embarrassed they get. Here's a time when I'm willing to risk that. I'm willing to pull this person by the ears, even though it might be scary, to face the light. Does that make it any clearer?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Being afraid to see the light. Would this be because of fear of trusting the light, because I sabotage myself so much with my negative thoughts and judgments that I can pull myself right out of it?
Yes, we've been telling ourselves these jackal thoughts about ourselves our whole life because we've been educated to do it. And then how, after a lifetime of seeing ourselves in this way, how do we really, beyond an abstract intellectual level, really face the fact that we are created out of divine energy, that we have this enormous power? It's a pretty big jump. It's a pretty big jump to go from being educated to believe we're piss-poor protoplasm poorly put together to see the truth. It's a pretty scary jump.
Yes.
Yes, you understand that jump. It's a very scary jump. Yeah. Let's get the mic. Yep.
When I hear you mention the light, the Course of Miracles, and some of the other things that you say, I feel curious about the spiritual groundwork from which your model springs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like understanding, and I wonder if you would be willing to share with us your perception of the spiritual groundwork or your spiritual path or journey or practice.
Yes, well, let me sing you a song to make that part of clear. I had an uncle who would come to my house each night when I was a child to help my mother take care of my grandmother, who was totally paralyzed with Lou Gehrig's disease. Runs in our family. He read Tuesdays with Maury. He had the same thing. And totally paralyzed. And so this uncle of mine would come, and every night I couldn't wait to go and watch him clean my grandmother up. And I never knew as a child why I did this, because she smelled and it's kind of disgusting. But why I did is it was like a mystery to me, because the whole time he was doing it, he had the most wonderful smile on his face, as though he was getting the greatest gift a man could get. As a kid, I couldn't understand it, but it had such a power with me. So many years later, I was reading a book by John Powell, Secret of Staying in Love, and there's a part in there that touched me very much about unexpressed gratitudes, how horrible he was thinking it is that he didn't get a chance to express certain gratitudes to certain people before they died, for various reasons. And that really woke me up. I said, oh my God, yes, who is alive still that I... And I realized I had never told the uncle what that meant to me. And I knew he was near death at the time, so I got to him, and I put into words, as best words could do, what that smile meant to me. And I asked him, where did you get that? Where did you get whatever it took for you to get joy that way in life? And he liked the question. He really did. He took it as a... And he thought seriously about it, and he said, I had great teachers. And I said, like whom? He said, well, you saw me taking care of your grandmother when she was paralyzed, but you probably don't remember when you were a little boy, but what she was like before. And he said, for example, have you heard what kind of woman she was? Has your mother told you, for example, about the tailor and his wife? And I said, oh yes, you mean during the Depression she saw the tailor crying on a street corner, and she found out that he lost his shop and he didn't know where he was going to live and how he was going to tell his wife and 2 kids. Yes, yeah, my mother told me that, and how she invited them into the house and how they lived in the house for 3 years. Yes, yes, yes. I heard that. That stayed with me, Uncle, because when we live in the house now, I keep wondering, where did they all sleep? She had 9 children. She had no money. I often wondered, we have trouble now, we're crowded. Where did the 9 kids plus the tailor, his wife, and 2 kids, where did they sleep? I never could figure it out as a kid. I wondered that. And then he said, well, did your mother tell you the story about so-and-so? I said, yes. And the story about so-and-so? I said, yes. And then he said, well, surely she told you about Jesus. I said, who? He said, didn't she tell you about Jesus? No, no. And he said, well, one day a man came to the back door, wild, scraggly black hair, dirty, smelled, and around his neck he had a tree branch in the rough shape of a cross held around his neck with a rope, asking for food. That part wasn't strange, because everybody in the neighborhood knew that Grandma, even though she's poor, she'd feed anybody who showed up. So while he's eating at the kitchen, she asked him, what's your name? And he said, Jesus. She said, do you have a last name? I'm Jesus the Lord. Now, my grandmother's English wasn't good, and so when an uncle came in later, she introduced him as Mr. the Lord. And she said, where do you live? He said, I don't have a home. She said, well, where are you going to sleep tonight? It's very cold. I don't know. She said, would you like to stay here? He stayed 7 years. So one other thing you need to know about the spirituality in addition to that part will get you a peek into the spirituality I learned. The other part about my grandmother that I learned from her spirituality, she was rigid about one thing, fanatic about one thing. She used to say, never walk when you can dance. She used to love to dance. She was a very heavy, big woman, but she was light on her feet. She would dance for certain benefits. So, it was in her Jewish way. She taught me what Jesus had to say. In that precious way, she taught me what Jesus had to say. One day a man named Jesus came around to Grandma's door. He asked for a little food. She gave him more. He said he was Jesus the Lord. She didn't check him out with Rome. He stayed for several years, as many did, without a home. It was in a Jewish way. She taught me what Jesus had to say. In that precious way, she taught me what Jesus had to say. And that's feed the hungry, heal the sick, then take a rest. Never walk when you can dance, make your home a cozy nest. Yes, feed the hungry, heal the sick, then take a rest. Never walk when you can dance, make your home a cozy nest. It was in a Jewish way. She taught me what Jesus had to say. In her precious way, she taught me what Jesus had to say. Does that give you a peek of what spirituality I've learned? And you know, I've done that song all over the world now, and one of the things I love doing it is there's somebody like that in everybody's family. And I hear about it, so I know they're all over. And that's the energy that's going to create the world. Yes.
I've heard just some amazing dialogue about conflict resolution. I'm still a bit confused, being that I'm a manager of a large company and also want to raise a family. How to bring this consciousness into not using rewards or punishment in my dealings with people and my future family.
So give me some situations, both at work and or the family, where it would seem difficult to look at options other than punishment or reward. What kind of situations seem impossible to deal with without those two?
An employee that continues to show up late for work and is not doing the job that they're paid to do.
Come on up here and we'll see how to deal with this rascal. So you've asked me to come in, and I have been late for work regularly, and certain jobs I have not done to your satisfaction. If I wanted this person to produce more to meet my needs for protecting the organization, the most powerful way I could begin would be to show that I'm interested in the needs that keep him from doing what I would like. So whatever it is, in fact, the more threatening the other person's behavior, as I mentioned yesterday, the more important it is to be able to begin the dialogue with empathizing with the needs that keep the person from behaving as we would like. So as I told you yesterday, as I'm working in prisons, if I'm working with somebody who is molesting children, I want to begin the dialogue by empathizing with the needs that lead this person to do this. If I'm working in countries where people are killing others, it's not the way I'd like to resolve the conflicts there. I begin by empathizing with their reasons for meeting their needs that way. Because I want to be sure that it's never my objective to change the other person. Whether it's a child that's doing something that I think is not in harmony with their needs or my needs, an employee, or in these more dramatic cases. I want to be sure that it's not my objective to get them to do what I want. Now that's pretty hard in a managerial situation, since that's almost the stereotype of the good manager, is able to get results, you see. So nonviolent communication, that's not our objective, to get results. I was hired by Connecticut General Life Insurance one time. I was shocked when the man heard me at his church, wanted me to work with his salespeople. I said, that's not the purpose of this process. He said, I know, but I think if you show our salespeople this, I think it's what we want in our organization. So he said, we have a sales program that's working very well. It's greatly increased first-time sales. We call our program sweat questions. They're questions designed to make people feel guilty if they don't buy the insurance. It's working very well, except we're losing our best salespeople. And we can't get a salesperson in the door for second-time sales. It's very good at first-time sales, you see. So the first thing I made clear to the salespeople is that this process, nonviolent communication, is not designed to get results. What is it designed for? To create a quality of connection with other people in which everybody's needs get met. And they get met through natural giving, not through any guilt questions or shame questions or fear. See? So, in other words, I don't approach this employee with the objective of getting him to work on time or to produce more. I approach this employee with the objective of creating a quality of connection with him that will end with both of our needs getting met. It's a radical paradigm shift. Now, the irony of it is, sales went up 50% in each district but that wasn't the objective. That's not how I measured the success, nor the company, incidentally. What they were most happy with, they didn't lose their best salespeople. See? But I wasn't trying to get them to sell more life insurance. I said, this process cannot sell a product that doesn't serve life. Because if it doesn't serve the other person's needs, you don't want them to buy it. Your objective needs to be to get everybody's needs met. Okay, so with that theory in mind, let's put that into practice. So let's begin with empathy. Through empathy, show that you see that his not coming to work and his producing near zero is the most wonderful thing in the world he could be doing.
So I'm myself.
You're yourself. You're yourself with giraffe ears, yes. And so you want to empathize with what's keeping this person from coming on time. See, not for the purposes of getting in there on time, but for connecting, so that you can form a connection so that everybody's needs can get met.
I just better want to understand what the need is for you to arrive 20 minutes late for work every day.
Okay, that's pretty close, but you began with a request. Never make a request, especially when you're in a position of authority, without nakedly revealing what's in your heart at this moment first. Never ask a question or make a request when you're in a position of authority without revealing your heart first. So how are you feeling right now, and what are your needs behind that question?
I'm a little frustrated because my need for the group to work together on an agreed upon time, and I'm wanting to know what your need is for showing up 20 minutes late for work.
Yeah, there's really, I could give you an excuse. I could tell you, that there's other things, but the fact is, I just have a bad habit. I'm just terrible about time, and I've always been this way, and I know I shouldn't, and I tell myself I should be on time, and I do everything I can to get there, and the next thing I know, I'm late, and it happens all the time. And
so it sounds to me like your need is you're afraid to have to be somewhere at a particular time.
It's, it's kind of afraid, because I know that I should be there on time, and I'll set the clock early. I'll remind myself, and I know I should be on time, but and I don't know what happens, but I guess I just have a bad habit. I'm just bad about time.
So it sounds like you really want to be there on time.
Yes, I see that, we want to have a team that's ready for work. I can see that it aggravates everybody when, there's telephone calls waiting for me that I didn't get to, that I told people I'd be there. I see, and I tell myself this the whole morning. I'll be sure you're on, you have to get there on time today.
So it feels like you're frustrated because you're not being able to arrive on time.
Exactly, and this is a long-standing thing. I mean, this goes back to the time, in school I had the same problem. I mean, my father, mother, it's not their fault, because they were people very prompt, always prompt. And they told me that if I'm to be, a success in life, I have to be prompt. And I agree with them. I can see that, you don't get respect if you're not prompt. I know I should be on time.
So you're frustrated by
Yeah.
the fact that you're not able to be there on time?
Yes, very frustrating. It's aggravating to me. It's a terrible habit not to be on time. It violates other people. It's not respectful to others. It's a terrible habit.
So you're frustrated at the fact that not only do you feel you're not on time for yourself, but also for other people?
Exactly, yes. So obviously this must be a pretty strong need that this person is meeting. If it's not meeting other needs of theirs, the need that it's meeting must be very strong. See, because people never do anything that isn't in the service of a need. So obviously, even though this person has the same needs that you do for productivity, respect for other people's time, there's an even stronger need that's keeping this person from doing it. So that's empathy for that need is what you need to have. The need that is keeping this person from being on time. This person would be on time if they weren't meeting another need not to be on time. Now notice this person isn't in touch with their need. They have a self-diagnosis that I just have a bad habit. It's like when people I'm working with who drink more than their liver would like. I say, could you help me understand? You tell me you want to live longer, and you know the doctor has said about your liver, and yet you're wolfing down that stuff. Can you help me understand? Well, I'm an alcoholic. The doctor said, you know, yeah. Nobody's ever drunk because they're an alcoholic, Jack. Well, then why am I drinking? Doctor said, I know you've been told that, I know. That's not why I think you drink. Well, why am I drinking? Because it's meeting your needs. You wouldn't be drinking if it wasn't meeting your needs. What needs? It's killing me. Look at the doctor showed me the x-ray. My liver's starting to look like a raisin. Yeah. So you have a strong need for health. Yes, I want to live, be healthy. So it must be a strong need. Yeah. What's a need that would be so strong that people are willing to risk their jobs, respect from other people, their health? What's the need? Autonomy, yes. It's a strong need. See, this person's got an inner jackal telling himself he should be on time. Inner jackals are the most vicious and authoritarian of all. Now, if not only that inner jackal is telling him he should be on time, but his parents, outside jackals, you should be on time earlier. Now he has employers who are communicating that he damn well better be on time. It just makes his need for autonomy under even more panic attack. So he's putting in a lot of energy to protect his autonomy, but not conscious of that. He thinks he has a bad habit about time, or a drinking problem, or I'm a drug addict. No, we don't do anything that isn't meeting our needs.
Can I ask the jackal for me? Am I able to share my needs?
We have to make sure you've heard his need. Now, I was helping you because you were hearing his feelings wonderfully about how frustrated he is and so on. But you hadn't yet heard the central piece that we needed to hear, the need that was keeping him from meeting your need. See, that's the need you need to hear. So how would you put it?
How would I put asking the jackal for what his need is?
No,
For being late?
I just told you what his need is. So reflect it back to him in your language, you see. Let me help you even more. I'll get him to make it clear. So, Jackal, how do you feel when you keep telling yourself that you should be on time? Well, I agree with it. Yeah, but how do you feel? I get angry, I get angry, thinking I have to do something. Yeah. So, you have a strong need to do things because you choose to do them and not when you feel you're forced to do them. Well, nobody's forcing me to do it. Yeah, you're forcing yourself to do it. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, you're forcing yourself to do it. You're thinking you should do it. Well, I should. Hold it, see, that's why you're not. Why? Because you think you should. Because you have a need, you just said. You hate to do things when you're forced to do it. So you choose to assert yourself, even in the face of your own internal messages. Well, yeah, I guess I see what you mean. So put that in your language. Reflect back to show that you understand what's keeping this person from being on time.
So, Jackal, let me understand this. It sounds to me that you're afraid to, because you're feeling that you're forced to have to be here on a particular time, and that creates fear within you.
Irritation. As soon as I hear that I have to do something, then there's a part of me that just gets stubborn. Damn it, you know, who says I have to?
So you're angry by the fact that you have to do
Yeah.
something.
And then I'm going to just show that by God, I'm going to do what I want. But I don't do that very consciously. Until we started to talk about it now, I wasn't aware of how strong this is. Yeah, I used to hate it when my parents told me that. You know, you have to be on time. You know, they were so that way about everything. There's some things you have to do, and then teachers would say that. You have to be on time if you're going to be successful.
So that makes you angry by feeling that someone's telling you you have to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to live my life. I want to be in charge of my life. I don't want to live up to other people's rules. But I know I should. Hold it, Jackal. See, you just internalized that. What do you mean? The problem now, it's not the other people now. The big problem is you've internalized it. You're your own dictator. Yeah. Yeah. It's that inner message that gets me most angry of all. Yeah. But the need is you want to choose to do things, not out of an energy of obligation, duty. You're going to be punished if you don't. You want to live your life choosing to do it out of some other energy. That's right. I hate rules that are set up that way. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now tell the jackal how you feel now that you've heard what's going on for the jackal.
Well, Jackal, my need is to know that when we decide on a time that we agree upon, that time will be met, that agreement.
So Jackal, I would suggest you ask the jackal to tell you back what he heard.
Jackal, what did you just hear me say?
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, it's a bad habit. I should be on time. So see, we're just going to repeat the parental situation, the teacher situation, even though you came from the heart. He's had many years of hearing that you should be on time. So let's ask, it's a radical paradigm shift now to get this jackal to do things on the basis of the joy of meeting human needs rather than the fear of not living up to other people's standards. That's a major shift. So I'm glad I asked you to ask this jackal. So, Jackal, did you hear his needs? Yeah, he has a need for me to be on time. No. What needs of his would be met? Well, he thinks that a person should. What are his needs? What will help him break through this hard to break through habit is the need. You see, the need is where the power is, because when our consciousness is need-centered, it naturally is enjoyable to give. But he hasn't heard your need yet, and you haven't said it. You haven't really made clear what the need is of yours that would be met if he were on time. See, that's where we are deficient in our education, in a need literacy. The part that has the power to break out of the old games of bondage is the need. That then gives us another possibility to do things on the basis of enriching life. But we don't have the literacy that has the power to do that. So what need of yours is met by this person being on time? For example, I don't know if any of these are close to your needs, but mine might be, I need to be able to trust that the people that I'm working with, I have access to them at a certain time that I know. So that's part of my need. And I also have a need for predictability, to really know where people are and who's around. And so could you tell me back what you hear that need being, Jack? Well, you need to trust that the people you're working with and depending on, that they're going to be at a place where you can use their services. Thank you for hearing that, Jack. Yeah. See, we've got to get their attention to the heart. So, what are his needs, Jack? I'll say it again. Is that your need, though? I don't know that that's your need. That your need could be different. Yeah. Oh. So say it, Jackal. Well, we got a lot of work to do around the place, and helps to know that your teammates are going to be there. That you can trust that they're going to be there. You have a need for predictability. Is that? Yeah. And I would guess there's also a need in there for productivity, to have the organization function well for everybody's benefit, so that everybody's material needs are met and so forth. Yeah, I can see that, yes. If people aren't working, productivity is not going to go up. Okay. So, but now he's a giraffe boss. I can see that in his eyes, Jackal. And here's going to be the dilemma. He only wants you to be on time if you can do so with the joy of a little child feeding a hungry duck. Huh? He doesn't want you to be on time out of an image of your parents being angry at you if you're not, your teachers being angry at you if you're not, you telling yourself that you should to be a decent person. It's not what he wants. He'll pay for it if you, in fact, if you come on time out of that energy, he'll pay for it. You know that. Yeah, I'll make him pay for it the way I made my parents pay for it when I did what they told me I had to do. Yeah. So, how can you do it with the joy of a little child feeding a hungry duck? Well, that's going to be the hard part. I could probably force myself to be on time, but yeah. So how do you keep in your consciousness that you're choosing to do it to meet your own need for contributing to his well-being as a person who wants to trust that he can have the people he's working with at a certain place on time, who has a need for certain predictability and productivity. Yeah. How can you do it out of that joy of meeting his need and not have that other stuff get in there? Boy, that's going to be hard, Marshall. That's going to be hard. Yeah. I've been listening to these inner and outer jackals for 35 years now. It's just not easy to shift that. So you may need to have periodic conversations with him to check up on how you're doing with that. Yeah, yeah. So, how does this sound?
Sounds good. I'm going to try.
Yeah, now the other part. Now that's getting, now I got him there on time for you now, with the good energy. Now, what about the productivity? Let's learn how to give a performance evaluation in giraffe. You see. So we don't want to use any performance evaluation like you're doing a subpar job. You have poor relations with clients. No criticism. Observation. So what's the observation about his performance that you want to talk about?
In a positive way?
No, well, it is positive if it's a clear observation. He can learn from that. See, I was working with some actually school administrators over in San Jose, and started a 3-day workshop with, they wanted to know how to evaluate teacher performance, you see, because they were having lots of problems. Teachers were getting angry at the performance evaluations. The union get brought in to argue with the evaluations. So they wanted me to show them how to make nonviolent communication evaluations. And we started off the first day with how to make clear observations, you see. And after I showed them the danger of mixing in vague language like, you know, poor performance with clients or parents, or in other words, these vague moralistic judgments. I showed them how to make clear observations. And one man, after about an hour into the workshop, he jumps up and runs out of the thing. Really, just literally runs. And everybody kind of looked for a minute. What's in him, you know? The next morning, he comes in before the rest of the group and apologized to me for his abrupt departure. But he said, Marshall, the first hour when you talked about how important to make clear observations in the evaluations without bringing in any criticism, I realized why I dread making these evaluations. Because when I make these statements that confuse observation and evaluation, the teachers get defensive, and I know it's going to be this way. I have trouble sleeping before these the teacher evaluations. So yesterday on the way to your workshop, I had handed in to my secretary my teacher evaluations to be typed, and you showed me in that first hour what I was doing that was creating the problem. So I ran back to the school to save my secretary having to type these things up, and I spent until 2 in the morning last night trying to think of concretely what the employee had done that I was talking about. A month later, when I went back to San Jose for follow-up, this man was so thrilled. Not only did the teachers not get defensive, they were hungry for these evaluations. We can learn when somebody can concretely show us something that is not in harmony with needs of the organization without criticizing, you see, without having to get this learning through images that make us feel bad about ourselves. So let's start with that. Let's start by, what is this person doing that's not in harmony with your values? It's not to be positive, it's to be clear. You don't have to like it, but you need to be able to spell it out without mixing it in to a lot of gobbledygook. So what is this person doing that's not up to par?
Person's been late.
Well, we dealt with the late issue, okay.
Person's fighting with other employees.
Hold it. What do you mean fighting with other employees? See, I just start to express myself. You can't express yourself around this damn place without somebody judging you as fighting. What do you want me to do, to be a wimp? So let's get rid of fighting. What does the person do? He's beaten up 6 people in 4 days. Is that it?
No, he hasn't beaten anybody up. But
Oh, well.
continues to talk bad about people.
Oh, wait a minute. Talk bad about people. What I said about that asshole was mild. So you want me to wimp out and say I love everybody around here even when they're a bunch of assholes? No, talk's bad is a diagnosis. See, we want to start with a clear observation. See? So let's start again. What does this person do?
Communicates.
They hear a diagnosis coming on. You're going to say in a way that, or it's going to be a diagnosis. Direct quotes. We give direct quotes.
When you said John was an asshole,
Well, he is. Okay, but when you said that, okay, so we're on good grounds, okay. And when employees tell me that routinely in meetings you use language that says things like that. Like the other day, Jack said, you said in the meeting that he was the most incompetent person you'd ever met. Well, he is. Well, I just want you to know, that when you say these things, okay, now we got his attention. You can't argue with the fact he said those things. Oh, sometimes you can. He can't remember. But anyway, we're on pretty sound grounds. You've started with clear observation. So when you say the things that you've been saying, and I've given you several examples, now how do you feel about these reports that he's doing that?
I feel angry and disappointed.
Yes. And what need of yours isn't met by this person's behavior?
My need for harmony.
Mm-hmm. And now what would you like from him in relationship to that?
Would like to find a way in which we as a group can work better together.
So we need to be a little bit more specific. I'd like you to tell me if you'd be willing to search with me for a way in which you can be honest with people without doing it in a way that destroys morale and harmony on the staff. Would you be willing to explore that with me? How you could express yourself. See, much more specific. So, yeah, that's how you might express yourself, but I wouldn't recommend starting with that. I would recommend starting by empathizing with what needs of his are being met by doing what he's doing. See, once again, The quickest way I know to get people to be open to a new possibility is to show respect for the life in them that led to the old possibility, so that they know we can hear that without moralistically judging it or thinking there's anything wrong with them as a human being. When a person can trust that, it'll be a lot easier for him to hear the thing we just worked on. But if he still feels any trace that he's not understood or valued for what he did, it's going to be hard for him to learn. So, he's been calling these people names. Let's start by empathizing with what's going on in him when he does that. So you've just gotten a report that he's called his boss an asshole in a meeting.
And when you called John an asshole, were you feeling angry by the way he was treating
No,
you?
because your need wasn't being met. See, not because he was treating. Are you angry because your need for what wasn't being met?
Your need for being heard wasn't being met?
Heard and respected, you know. He doesn't respect me. You know, the only people he respects are those that kiss his ass. And, you know, and when I try to show him, you know, that his managerial style sucks, you know, then I get no respect.
So you're feeling unheard and unrespected?
Well, those are not really feelings. Those are diagnoses. We don't want to reinforce diagnoses like unheard. And so you're frustrated because your need for respect and understanding doesn't get met when you express yourself to the boss. Yes. Yes. Other employees say the same damn thing, nothing happens. But he's had it in for me all along.
So your need for feeling heard and acknowledged?
For fairness. I mean, why the hell do other people do the same thing I do? And, you know, you never hear a damn thing about it. But by God, as soon as I say something like that, then he's all over my case. Then I get sent into you, and I got this damn thing to deal with. Hell, there's other employees in that department do the same thing, but because I won't kiss ass, I'm the one that always gets everything. I'm sure none of you would ever have an employee like this. But just in case you should ever be plagued, then be prepared for it. Oh, excuse me, you are the employee. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have realized. I saw a little bit of understanding in some eyes here.
So then your need for being treated with respect isn't being met?
Fairness. Fairness and respect both. I mean, why the hell am I always the one that gets the bad end of things? Other employees do the same damn thing. Nothing's ever done. I do.
So you're angry and frustrated by the fact that your needs are not being met?
My need, you know, for fairness, you know, same thing happens to other people. You're going to keep getting it until we hear it. But that's what's nice. We don't have to be perfect or fast. The jackals are very tolerant with slow learners. They'll keep repeating themselves forever and until you hear the need that they need you to hear. It's okay. So what's the need that this jackal is trying to get across to you?
To be treated like your need for being treated fairly?
Yes, yes. I have a need for fairness, justice. Yes.
Feeling heard and acknowledged?
For fairness. I mean, why the hell do other people do the same thing I do? And you never hear a damn thing about it. But by God, as soon as I say something like that, then he's all over my case. Then I get sent into you, and I got this damn thing to deal with. Hell, there's other employees in that department that do the same thing, but because I won't kiss ass, I'm the one that always gets everything. I'm sure none of you would ever have an employee like this. But just in case you should ever be plagued, then be prepared for it. Oh, excuse me, you are the employee. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have realized. I saw a little bit of understanding in some eyes here.
So then your need for being treated with respect isn't being met?
Fairness. Fairness and respect both. I mean, why the hell am I always the one that gets the bad end of things? Other employees do the same damn thing. Nothing's ever done. I do.
So you're angry and frustrated by the fact that your needs are not being met.
My need, for fairness, same thing happens to other people. You're going to keep getting it until we hear it. But that's what's nice. We don't have to be perfect or fast. The jackals are very tolerant with slow learners. They'll keep repeating themselves forever and until you hear the need that they need you to hear. It's okay. So what's the need that this jackal is trying to get across to you?
To be treated like your need for being treated fairly?
Yes. I have a need for fairness, justice. Yes. How do we get children to stop lying? And I have an easy answer, but the parents never like it. I say stop blaming and punishing. You have no lying then. You only need, but lying is adaptive in a punitive structure. You're a fool to tell the truth in a punitive structure. I also think it would help us, if we want to communicate in a giraffe way with children, to get rid of the concept of children. There were no children on the planet until 300 years ago. Did you know that? I'm serious. There were no children. We didn't have the concept of children until the Industrial Revolution, and we started to have this new word for people below a certain age. Until then, they were people. People of a certain age. They only became children after that. And then it's unfortunate, because as soon as they became children, they became treated with much less humanity. Now, there was good reason politically to protect people of a certain age from exploitation. That's the law. But when we start now to think of these people somehow different than those of us who are adults, a lot of problems get created. I used to take parent workshops, half the parents in one room, half in another, and I gave them a written role play to write down how they would treat a certain situation, predict the other person's response. How would you respond? I gave both groups the same situation. The other person borrowed something and didn't return it when they said they would, okay? I told one group the other person was your child. I told the other group it was a neighbor. They come back in the big group, but I told them, don't say who you were working on. We put them up on the board, the groups that were working on the one with the neighbor and the children, same situation. I asked the group, who got the most love and respect? always the same thing, always, not even close. The neighbor was always treated with more love and respect. See? In the jackal world, we are given permission and encouraged to dehumanize people that we label as children. So that's enough theory. Now let's get into, the most important thing you see that goes with this is to get away from this idea that it's our job to make them behave a certain way. See, once you think that, then we're already in trouble. And I've had a request for a song I wrote when my youngest son educated me about this. My youngest son, Brett, educated me about the danger of demands in the role of a parent. He helped me to see, never make demands, Dad. Never make demands. How did he help me see this? Well, it was a slow message for me to get clear, because I had this so deep in my mind that as the parent, it was my job to make the children behave. And one of the things they should do is tasks, like take the garbage out. That's not too much for a father to ask a son. And because I had that thinking, we had the garbage war at the Rosenberg household twice a week. See, the garbage was to be picked up the next morning, so my rule was, Brett, my youngest son, his job was to take the garbage out the night before. So thinking that way created the garbage war twice a week. And the garbage war would begin by my simply mentioning his name. Brett! That's his name. Now, how does he accelerate the war? He pretends like he didn't hear me. He's in the next room, right? Neighbors a mile away can hear it. And he's in the next room pretending like he doesn't hear me, so I'm getting out. So what do I do to make it worse? I scream even louder. What do you want? The garbage isn't out. You're very perceptive, Dad. Get it out. I'll do it later. You said that last time and didn't. That doesn't mean I won't do it this time. Can you imagine putting so much energy into getting the garbage out? There's people starving to death in the world. The environment is being destroyed, and I'm taking all of my energy as a human being to get my blasted garbage out. So this was at a time when I was trying to transform myself from the parenting of the culture that I was raised in to giraffe. So I was starting to learn to wear these ears. So one night I sit down and I said, what's going on with the damn garbage? You know, this craziness, because that wasn't only the garbage, you know. It wasn't only the garbage. We also had a little thing about shoveling snow. The neighbor down at the corner was a serious physical handicap. She could not walk, so she had a long driveway in her house. And when she couldn't get her car out, she had no mobility because she couldn't walk, she depended on her car. So he would go down to her house every time it snowed. It took him an hour and a half, depending on the depth of the snow, to shovel her walk. He never told her who did it, never asked her for money. He would check the weather report before going to sleep. If there was any possibility of snow, he'd get up early so he could go and do it before school. Right? In our house, we had a tiny little walk. Do you think I could get that walk shoveled? You see? So it was a mystery to me. Why? What the hell? I mean, the kid goes down to the corner. What the? Then finally I put the giraffe ears and we had a conversation one night and he made it clear to me. What was the need behind the no? See, so when we get into the role play with children, what is the need behind the no? And we'll see that it's very often very similar to the late coming employee. Anyway, here was the need behind the no in the garbage. So since I borrowed some of the lines directly from our conversation, I give him credit. I call this Song from Brett. Sometimes I just call it the garbage song. If I clearly understand, you intend no demand, I'll usually respond when you call. But if you come across like a high and mighty boss, you'll feel like you ran into a wall. And when you remind me so piously about all of those things that you've done for me, you better get ready. Here comes another bout. Then you can shout, you can spit, moan and groan and throw a fit. I still won't take the garbage out. Now even if you should change your style, it's gonna take me a little while before I can forgive and forget. Because it seemed to me that you didn't see me as human too, until all your standards were met. Okay? The need behind the no. So, who's going to come up here and tackle this scary jackal? Oh, all hands go up. We'll do maybe two of them. Come on up here.
No, I want to say.
And what am I doing, Mom, that you're not crazy about?
Actually, I'd like to give you the situation that I'm a school teacher.
You're a school teacher, so I'm an 11-year-old student. Yes.
Who, you're not doing what I'd like you to do in my class.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. What's that, teacher?
I'd like you to work on the project we have
I see.
prepared.
Okay, so good. This will give us all a chance to practice hearing the need behind the no. And how do I express my no? Politely, I'd rather not, teacher. Do I express it some other way by just not doing it?
Destroying some of the property in my classroom and not doing it. Both.
Yes. Okay. So, what property have I destroyed?
My scissors, my needles, my pins.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk to this
I'm a
person.
handwork teacher. I teach sewing. So.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk to this student.
Ben.
It's a very good start. That is his name, okay? We're getting there.
I've had this conversation a lot of times with myself.
I bet. Yeah, okay.
Ben, I feel, are you feeling frustrated by my handwork class?
Because what needs aren't getting met?
Because you need to be outside with Christopher?
Christopher's a school?
Another child, his buddy.
You'd like to be playing with Christopher? Yeah, this stuff is stupid.
Do I hear you saying that handwork is not something you feel you need to do?
I'm never
Need to
going to
learn?
use this crap.
One teacher down.
You feel that what I'm teaching you is...
Don't hear what he thinks.
Do you feel learning to sew is...
It's going to be another thought. Hear his feeling in me.
Use my card.
Use the card.
I have it in my hand. Do you feel reluctant to do...
Yeah, why do I do this stuff? I'm never going to use it.
So you're feeling, are you feeling handwork is useless?
That's what he thinks. But
That's what he
never reinforce what a jackal-speaking person thinks.
You're
Don't even
feel-
hear it.
Are you feeling frustrated that I'm asking you
No,
to do this work?
not that I. It's going to be
Are
hard
you
to get
feeling-
that giraffe in the mouth of this baby giraffe.
Are you feeling frustrated?
Because your need for something useful in your life?
Because you're needing to do something else?
You have a need for something that you'll use in your life, that will help your life, make your life more wonderful. I might use language like that with an 11-year-old.
Okay.
But I would try to put it in need language. I try to get away from reinforcing the thought that anything is useful or useless. You know, like anything is a waste of time. See, there is no such thing. Why would I want to teach people myths? Some behavior meets need, some doesn't. Why make life more complicated than it is? So you'd like something that you can use, and you're irritated to be learning something that you're not confident is going to meet your need. Yeah, when am I ever going to do this stuff?
Ben, I appreciate you telling me what you're feeling, and
That was important for him to hear because he thought he was going to get sent to the principal. His teacher last year sent him to the principal for just that, saying that it was junk. So already this has been a big shift for him.
Ben, would you be willing to hear what my needs are and my feelings
Yeah.
are? I feel...
But I wouldn't have been if you would have started with him. I am now because you heard me. Yeah.
So Ben, I'm feeling frustrated that, frustrated and hurt that what I teach doesn't feel of value to you.
What's the need? See, I didn't hear a need in
I know
there.
I'm getting there. Haven't worked on it yet.
Yeah, but
And-
after the feeling,
Oh, okay.
speed of light to a need. Don't go to a thought that the stuff is not of value to me.
Right.
I feel frustrated and hurt because my need for what isn't met.
For my need for you to enjoy my class.
I have a real need to contribute to your life. Isn't that the need?
Yes, that's me.
You don't want him to enjoy it if it isn't contributing to his
No.
life. I have a need to really contribute something to your life.
Ben, I very much would like to reach you on a level in my class that will give you value and what I would value to your life.
You want me to get something useful out of your class.
Yes, but even more than that, I want to be able to give you the gift of something that I feel would grow into that you could take into your life as you grow older.
You want me to learn something that'll be helpful to me in my life.
Yes. Could you tell me how that feels to you?
I don't know.
Would you like to explore that with me, how that feels for you?
Now, it's an important message to hear with giraffe ears. Very important message. What's he feeling? What's he needing? Expressed through that message. Silence is a very important message to hear with giraffe ears.
Ben, are you feeling...
Now, this is an easy role for me to play because I played this role for real for about 8 years in school. And I learned how much power I had with these assholes. All I needed to do to get these people who thought they were so big about ready to crap their pants was leer. See? How many times my parents were told, he leers. See, I would just sit there and leer. And it would drive all these adults crazy. They didn't know how to deal with leering. You know? Never have I had such power. I was a great leerer.
Ben, are you feeling uncomfortable and puzzled?
Yeah.
And are you needing more compassion from me?
What's that?
Understanding? Are you needing...
You don't care about me. You just say that. Nobody cares about me.
So you're feeling unlikable and are
You're
needing to be understood?
You're feeling uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
And wanting some understanding about how hard it is for you to trust this. Try that, you see. Just hear the feeling and the need. You're feeling uncomfortable and...
Are you feeling uncomfortable and needing understanding?
For how hard it is to trust
how
that
hard it is
I
to-
care for you?
Or maybe for how hard it is to be with, because I'm trying to look in the whole school what's going on for this child. How hard to be with adults it is for you?
Yeah.
So, Ben, are you feeling...
No, you heard him. He feels that. Now tell him how you feel when you hear that.
Ben, I feel right. Would you like to hear what I feel?
Yeah.
I'm feeling great compassion for your pain and would like to continue understanding you and working with you on this level.
Make a present request now. What's the present request?
Would you be willing to continue working with me and talking to me about your feelings and what's going on for you in class?
I don't know.
So are you feeling that's still very uncomfortable for you and you're not sure whether you want to talk about your feelings?
Yeah. Now come back to yours. You've heard him. Now come back.
Oh.
See, we have a beautiful
Okay.
giraffe dance going. We have a beautiful giraffe dance going.
I'm feeling concern and have a need to talk with you, to meet with you.
Present request.
Would you be willing to talk to me again, maybe outside of class, so that we can meet on a caring level? It's pretty funny.
No? Yeah.
Okay, would you be willing to meet with me tomorrow during recess?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. It's been good to talk to you.
I projected it forward to this afternoon, and I think it's a bigger learning situation for her than for him. Putting him before the scissors, whether the scissors get broken or not. Then I projected it further to a situation, let's say, of safety, and that's where I run into trouble. What if he threatens somebody with the scissors or something like that? Then it gets tough for me as the teacher. I don't know what to do there.
Well, obviously, we use force. If he's about to stab somebody with the scissors, we take the scissors away.
Yeah.
And then is when we really need to use the process, because when somebody's beating on another child or about to hurt somebody, if this is important to us for safety reasons, then we really have to empathize the most. I was sitting here in the elementary school principal's office in San Francisco, and the principal looks out on the playground during recess, and he jumps up and he says, "Excuse me, Marshal," and he runs out and he grabs this older child, slaps him and says, "I'll teach you not to hit smaller people."
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, what pained me about that is that this man who did that, this man loves children. Really. This guy has got a giraffe heart. And he's a good friend of mine, so I could tease him a bit. So when he comes back in, I said, "I'm not confident you taught that child what you said you were going to teach him." "Huh? What do you mean?" I said, "You said you were going to teach him not to hit smaller people." "Yeah, but you're bigger than he is. You hit him. You thought you had a good right to hit him. He probably thought he had a good right to hit the other person. So I think all you did was reinforce what he already has been doing." And then he said, "Thanks for pointing that out. I never realized that. I never thought of it that way." See? I said, "But Jay, I do think you taught him something." "What?" "I think you taught him not to hit smaller people while you're watching." "But I think I wouldn't want to be that younger child on the way home from school today." See, I would think my life is in danger because now I think you've just perpetuated violence. See, so it's at this point that I would have liked him to have taken the person who was doing the hitting and started with empathy. Because it would be so important for me to protect the population. The more important it is that I want somebody to be open to another possibility, the more I want to begin with a respectful understanding of what need they're meeting by doing that they're doing.
I just wanted to say that when I'm in her role as the teacher, it's important for me to hold in my mind that this is possibly more of a learning situation for me than it is for the kid. Like, I'm really the student.
Yes. But hand the mic back, thank you.
I found the uh-huhs and maybes of the board to be amazingly eloquent. And I was struck by how much he was able to communicate through grunts and moans, essentially. And
You know me better than I thought.
I also was wondering if there was how Holly could have helped him become more compassionate towards himself in those moments. Because
when he was grunting and
when he was expressing himself through his own inner jackling.
I liked the way she did it. It seemed to me she kept hearing his feeling and needs at that moment. So the next day, she'll get more chance to do what you're talking about. She's going to get much more of this. "You don't care for me. Nobody cares for me. So it's hard for you to trust this. You have some understanding." "Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm a rat." So you're doing some stuff that's not getting your needs met? You don't like doing? Everybody says it. Even my friends say that you're really a rat. Yeah. So you're kind of discouraged with yourself. There's some things you'd like to be doing differently. See, I don't reinforce the self-judgment. I hear the needs behind it. Yeah, he's got a lot of that to go on. How can you possibly be hearing the message outside without internalizing it? I went through about 6 years. That was my language.
Right.
My father one day, a very kind, patient man, but he had about enough of this. He said, I could kick a pig in the ass and get a better answer. And what did I say? And then I got paid back, because then my oldest son went through the same thing. So we called him Grunt. Now he speaks 10 languages. But there was a while I'll Need the mic. Yes, thank you very much.
I just had a couple of concerns for the teachers that recess might not be, a time when he wants to get out and play with Christopher, so that wasn't really dealt with, in terms of empathizing with his need for play. He wants to see Christopher and also get out at recess, and also it's fun to break scissors and things like that. So his needs around what's going on with breaking things in the room might, at some point, for me, I had the need for those to be addressed.
About what? The needs behind the needs behind the breaking?
Well, the needs, behind getting up and running around and not sitting down and working on a project. He may or may not.
I thought that the dynamic was being talked about. I thought that those were the feelings that were leading to it. Now, I don't think we talked about it enough. That's why I'm glad that she set up another time. And playing the role when I said yes, even though it was during recess, it was yes. Because what I was getting from her at that moment was very precious for me. And that's why it was so precious, why I'm going to break her scissors this afternoon. Because that was scary how precious that time was for me. Yeah.
It seems to me, I may have seen something here that I want to check out with you. What I'm trying to say is that I have an issue with someone that I would like to discuss with them. But it's really not about the issue. And it appears to me that there's a great deal of this has to do with letting go of any expectation whatsoever. And that it's really much more of a discussion or of a process of understanding each other's needs.
Exactly.
Period.
No, not period, but part of it I would firmly agree with. We've got to get rid of making our request into an addiction. You see, an expectation. We've got to let go of the objective of getting our request fulfilled. That isn't what's important. What's important is three things that are interdependent. Creating a quality of connection. In which we see each other's humanness and a total lack of any enemy images. Another way of saying that, a lack of any moralistic judgments. Nothing in this connection. Nobody sees any wrongness on the part of the other person. What do we see? Their feelings and needs, the truth. See, that's 1/3 of our objectives, you see. So, when I approached my son earlier about the garbage, my objective was a strategy to get the garbage out. See. Yes, of course I would have said I want a loving connection with my son, but in this situation I was addicted to getting the garbage out. That was my objective. See, with the manager, with the employee, if it's our objective to get him there on time. No, it's not. Now, here's why it's hard to mention this to most of the people that I work with. They then can only see the other option is permissiveness. You become a chump. That they think then you're talking about passivity. Then you're going to be a loser. I'm going to be a victim, you're saying. I'm supposed to just let the kid do whatever the hell he wants. I'm supposed to do all the work around the house. See? A mother came back second day of a workshop. I went home and tried it last night. It didn't work. And I said, what did you do? I made a clear observation to my oldest son. I pointed out to him that he didn't do the work he said he was going to do. Okay, that's clear observation. And I told him I was disappointed. Okay. I told him I had a need to trust that people will do what they say. Okay. I asked him to please do it immediately. What happened? He didn't do it. What did you say? I told him he couldn't go through life being lazy and irresponsible. I said, I'm glad we have another 2 days because it seems like your objective is doing this. You're here to learn how to get him to do this. Yes, then you don't want to be here. You need to go to a dog obedience school. Or read Skinner. If your objective is to get people to do what you want, systematically use punishment and reward and so forth. That is not objective. But see, the only other option she could think of then, oh, so I'm just supposed to let him do whatever he wants. I have to do all the work around the house myself. I don't believe in permissiveness. No, I'm not talking about permissiveness. See, such a radical paradigm shift if we've been educated in domination culture, which requires you to obey authority. So it's very scary. People think the only other option then is we're going to have chaos, anarchy. Okay, so that's 1/3 of the objectives. Creating a quality of connection in which we see each other's humanness. There's no enemy images, no good guys, bad guys, nobody's right or wrong. Second, we value other person's needs being met equal to our own. Notice there's no giving up in here. We don't give up our needs. Doesn't require that. But we must value the other person's needs equal to our own. Notice we're not talking about strategies. We're not talking about whether to learn sewing or not sewing, take out the garbage or not take out the garbage, be on time or not on time. It's not the objective. It's not ever our objective, the strategy. Because we might find more creative ways of getting everybody's needs met. Maybe we'll find a way of getting the garbage to disappear or something. You know, nobody has to take it out. Who knows? If we are really creative and we're mainly interested in meeting needs, we may find that the original request I made, there's better ways of getting everybody's needs met. Or the other person may do it. But that wasn't my objective. My objective was to meet everybody's needs, not to get him to take out the garbage, not to get him to learn sewing, not to come to work on time. And the third part of the objective, whatever is done through pure natural giving. That means we're giving with the joy that human beings feel when they see what they're doing is enriching life, meeting needs. This is the only reason for doing it. No fear of punishment, no buying love, no trying for a reward, no guilt motivating. So yeah, it's not the sewing. Now, when this is there, if sewing is going to enrich this child's life, of course he's going to sew. And if it isn't, the teacher doesn't want him to. She said her need was to enrich his life. If he can they might find another way of doing it. So if the sewing does enrich his life, it'll take care of itself. The sewing will be done. The garbage was taken out by my son. From there, after I got the message, after he trusted that it was not my objective. Yes?
How can a student trust in the teacher's objective that his need is important and her need is important when that student is already being compelled to be there? How can they trust something beyond that initial compulsion, which is, that you are required to be in this room at this time?
Because how do I put it to them? If I use Amtssprache, I become part of the system. If I say, you have to be here. If I use that language, I'm part of the system. So I never say to the child, you have to. I never say to the child, it's the rules. That's Amtssprache. That's bureaucratic language. No, I don't say that. I'm not part of that system. I say, I'd like you to be here on time. I might say an observation. There's a rule in the school that says this. And when you don't do it, I get very frustrated because it creates a real pain for me. And I'm within a system, if I don't punish you, then I get punished. You see, I'll be honest about my dilemma in that. On the other hand, if I agree with the rule, then I don't say you must do it because it's the rule. I would say what my needs are that would be met by acting in harmony with this. I'm scared about you not staying in harmony with this rule because I value whatever. Does this show you? So, yeah, it's the rule, but I never use Amtssprache with the person. Like you have to, you must, you can't. Especially since they already know they can, no matter what I say. So I don't want to lie to them and say you can't. They know they can, even if it's a rule. So why would I lie to them? Why would I ever say to somebody you have to do something when I know no human being has ever done anything because they had to? No human being does anything they don't choose to do. Clear? You seem a little not ready to buy that assumption.
I guess it's maybe that grudgingness that sometimes children will yield. You know, all right.
Well, then I wouldn't let them because, see, then they're not doing it this way. I haven't met my needs. My needs are not met when they, all right. My needs aren't met then. We haven't gotten everybody's needs met. So no, I never want anybody to do anything out of all right motivation. No, we need to still negotiate. We need to keep the giraffe dance going. Because when people act out of this energy, it's not all right. Yes.
So I tried this with my ex-husband a couple of months ago.
Now this is unrealistic because husbands are never jackals.
Ex-husbands are.
Oh, ex-husbands. Okay, I'll take your word for it. But this is the first man I've ever heard to be a jackal.
And we had a nice conversation, and the conversation more or less ended after a couple of hours with some, I think, clearer understanding, perhaps, of each other. Certainly, I understood him a little bit better.
Yes.
And he voluntarily agreed to increase the amount of child support that he sends. And now he wants to take it back through other ways.
Yes.
So I'm back to square one.
Come on up here and let's talk to this Jeff. Come on up here and let's talk to this Jeff. So let's make it easy for a while. I'll sew this giraffe ears on him for a while. So do your best to speak giraffe, but even if it's not perfect, you don't have to worry that much because he's got the ears on. Okay, what do you want to say to him?
Do I need to give background?
No, you can say you can quote, you can make a clear observation. Yes, when you said.
When you said that now that you're paying me more child support, you won't be paying the health insurance or the dental bills any longer. I felt, I feel frustrated and angry, and I need to, I need fairness. I need to have the financial burden not rest predominantly on my shoulders.
Yeah.
I need some sharing in that responsibility.
Yeah.
And while I'm at it, I need...
while you have those giraffe ears on.
would really like it if you could come up more often so that my needs for my son to have a closer connection with you are met, and so that I get a bit of a break from being an exclusive parent. And I would really like to have some acknowledgement from you about all of the different, the tremendous effort that I put into raising our son, and how much of it I do exclusively.
So there's a lot that you're sharing with me there, and I want to be sure that I'm really hearing it all. First, you just like some obvious awareness that there's expenses involved in keeping the family going with our son, and you would really like to have the money that it would take to do that job well, so to cover for living expenses, health expenses.
That's right.
And it's very scary and hurting for you to know that I have the money to give for that, but that I don't.
That's right.
And I'm also hearing that you're concerned about the boy having a father who's really showing an interest in him. You want to make sure he gets his need to feel cared for, not only by you, but by a father.
Yes.
And you'd also like to know that he's with somebody loving at times and give you a rest to take care of some needs of your own.
You got it.
Yeah. And I need a lot of empathy myself. Do you need to be understood more, or would you like to hear what's going on in me that's keeping me from doing those things?
I think I need you to understand a little bit more.
Okay.
I need you to understand the depth or the quantity of time that I have been the sole financial supporter, not the sole, but almost exclusively bearing the financial burden, and I wish you to understand the pain that I feel for my son when you decided not to move with us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing this up, because I realize I did miss a part of your first message, which is that you'd also like some recognition and gratitude for the job you're doing with him, and under difficult conditions. And now you're wanting, in addition to that, some recognition of the stress involved in being the only provider of support for him.
Yes, when I heard you say you're doing a good job, that felt nice to hear, but it was just, it barely scratched the surface.
You would really like to know if in my heart I'm seeing what you're investing in that boy's
Yes.
well-being.
Yes.
It would really help to hear what's behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I express what's going on in me, I think you'll hear what's keeping me from it. But even now, I'd like you to know it isn't that I don't really feel that gratitude, but I need some empathy for what keeps me from both offering the gratitude and the financial support and the time to be with him.
I'm ready to hear you, and I'm also a little frightened that I will subjugate my needs and concerns out of wishing to understand you.
I thank you on behalf of Ellen Goodman for having that consciousness.
Who's that?
She writes for the Boston Globe.
Oh, yeah.
And she says, women, beware of guys like Rosenberg teaching you how to understand and empathize better. You see. She doesn't mention me by name, but I had my paranoid ears on when I read this. She said, maybe we women have been trained so well to empathize with other people's needs, But there's a danger that we lose connection with our own. So she would be glad that you have that consciousness. That, be careful about empathizing so well with the other person that you lose your needs in the process.
I'm all too familiar with that.
Okay, okay. So I'm glad you have that consciousness, and I thank you on behalf of Ellen Goodman. Because I'm going to try to express myself in giraffe, but even if I do, you'll probably still need those ears, because I'm going to be getting into some heavy stuff.
Okay, go for it.
It's somewhat like what that gentleman was talking about to his employer about the inner demands and the pressures. But I think that's mild compared to what goes on in me. Because it is very important to me to provide for our son. And I would like to be caring and provide for you as an individual, because we had lots that we gave each other for a while, and that was precious for both of us for a while. And out of that, I would like to give to you and enjoy giving to you. I would like to give to my son and enjoy giving to my son.
Then why do you say things like, "You'll excuse me if your needs aren't important to me"?
You'll hear that now, why I say that. You'll hear that now. Because they're too important to me for the wrong reasons. And so I'm rebelling against this and resisting it. Can you tell me back what you hear me saying so far?
I'm not sure I understand it, but you said that those needs are too important for you, so you run away from them.
Yes, too important in this respect. I feel responsible for your feelings. I feel responsible for my son's happiness. And that I feel such that how could any father not behave differently than I am?
Would you say that again?
Yes. How could any father not contribute to his son's well-being?
You're saying that you do?
No,
Or
I'm
that
saying,
you want to?
I'm saying I tell myself that. I feel responsible for my son's
Mm-hmm.
And that makes an inner demand far stronger than that man's demand that I have to be on time. It makes it a powerful demand, an inner should. And I rebel against that.
And I'm also guessing that there's resentment that I left the relationship.
Thank you, because on top of that, I have a whole bunch of other feelings of hurt, rage, a whole bunch of feelings left over from the relationship that I haven't had the empathy for, that I will need. And these two together, the two together, this inner demand from my jackal, plus these resulting, still remaining feelings, all of that together makes it, I just don't want to give. And yet I hate myself for not giving.
I still don't understand the part where you said it makes you not want to give.
I still have a lot of hurt, a lot of rage. Plus the other, plus this inner demand that I should give. What's wrong with me? I mean, it's my son. So I'm saying all of these feelings together. If somebody outside mentions it, then they're going to get back. I don't care. I mean, that's your problem. But it's because I've got all this going on inside, and until it's dealt with, I can't meet my own needs. The other needs that I have, they're strong. To care for my son. That's a very strong need. So it must be, so I'm saying that then I need you to see how strong the pain is that's inside that I need empathy for before I can respond to my need to give to my son.
You're feeling pain because you need to have that connection with your son and you don't, or you feel
I need to have it with him, but the demand of myself to do it, feeling I should, what kind of a father am I, that inner pain created by my inner jackal is so great that I can't act on my need to be with my son.
I hear you saying that you're where you are, working as hard as you are because you need to save your money, to buy land so that you can be self-sufficient and leave a legacy for your son, or maybe not a legacy, something for him.
That's also going on. Yes, I would like to do that for many reasons. That's also going on. That's the easiest for me to talk about, because I'm the clearest about that. Yes, one way I can do it is by getting this land and making money and leaving a legacy. But the other stuff about not giving for the medical expenses now, not meeting with him, that's the stuff I'm talking about now. Right. What's behind that?
So it must feel and must have felt enormously painful for you to lose the setting in which you had a relationship, a wife, and a son.
Extremely painful. Extremely painful, but it was painful before that. It was painful before that.
Before we left?
Yes. It was painful because I felt...
You felt a pull between responsibility.
I felt responsible for your happiness and his. Mm-hmm. And the more I felt responsible for your happiness, the less I wanted to give to you. The less I was giving to you emotionally, the less you wanted to be in the relationship. So it was very painful for me already before you left.
And your needs were certainly not your needs for love and being able to call the shots, or being free to come and go when you choose, were all not being met.
That was another part of it, but the main part of it was that I felt responsible for your happiness. And so when you would let me know that how unhappy you were with the way I was spending my time and how much time I was investing in our relationship, I felt again this same dynamic. Oh my God, I'm responsible. I should give more to you. If I don't, you're going to be hurt. And when I have that image that I'm responsible for your happiness, then I don't want to give. So
you felt a tremendous burden.
I made it a tremendous burden because I had an illness, a very serious illness called male-itis.
You had it bad.
Yes, I had it very bad. Male-itis. I feel responsible for the people, my wife's happiness. And when she's unhappy, then I feel the demand, oh shit, now what do I have to do? And,
so when I was unhappy, you felt a failure?
Yes, and I felt now I have to be home more and do more what she wants. And that made our relationship as much fun for me as a prolonged dental appointment. And it's not hard for me to understand then that was very painful for you. That would be easier for you to hear that I just don't care. And so then I'd see you getting more unhappy, then I'd have even less energy for being with you. And so I know I'm not surprised you chose finally to leave, but then the leaving itself created real pain for me. So all of this is going on in me and is still not healed and needs to be healed before I can enjoy giving the money to you and the child, and to enjoy really telling you how deeply touched I am at what you are giving to him. I see it and I feel it so strongly, but you can't express gratitude sincerely when you're in as much pain as I'm in.
When I put myself in your shoes, I just feel sad.
And that's precious for me, the empathy you've given me, that you feel sad. But now, it would also be a gift for me if you met Ellen Goodman's needs and make sure you still don't lose your needs right now. So you've given me what I need most right now, which is the empathy, your honesty, but don't think that means you have to give up your needs.
Well, I also have a need to just trust in what we agree on and not feel the shaky ground of it ever changing.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I mean it when we have this kind of connection, but then the jackals can get into me and I can lose it quickly. So that's why I need to find some way of getting enough of what we just started on now. This is just the surface of what I need to do to get that pain dealt with well enough. And where do I find this? You know, I'm not willing to talk to you very much, so I don't give you the time, and I'm not sure it's fair to ask you to do it when you're in so much pain yourself. So where do I go? When I talk to my friends, we sit around and all complain about whose wife was the biggest bitch, and that doesn't help. So,
are you willing to talk to me about
yes,
it?
yes, this way it's a great gift to me. But again, listen to Ellen Goodman. Check and make sure that you're not losing something in yourself to have to give this empathy to me. Make sure you get enough yourself.
Are you willing to make a direct deposit out of your paycheck every month? I don't want to go to court.
Yeah,
I'd
well,
prefer not to.
Well, you know, it would be really helpful. Maybe the solution is if we could get a giraffe, one of these giraffes around this area or some area to help mediate between us so we can keep this connection going, but not have to put it all on you to have to always have the giraffe ears on.